Great to have you with us. Now, first story, the Chief Justice, Christian Inyeboa, is said to have called for the docket on the case involving the Senior Minister, Yao Osafo-Maafo, and Auditor General, Daniel Domelebo. This was disclosed by the judge hearing the case, Doreen Boachie-J. She explained it as a result of the petition that has been sent to the CJ's office on the matter. The Senior Minister, Yao Osafo-Maafo, is in court asking that Mr. Domelebo be punished for failing to respond to his case, challenging a $1 million surcharge on him. The Auditor General's office had insisted that Yao Osafo-Maafo wrongfully caused $1 million to be paid a UK-based consultancy firm, Kroll & Associates, to undertake investigations on the behalf of government. He has pointed out there was no valid contract between the UK company and the Ghana government when Kroll & Associates began work in 2017. Justice Boachie-J, who has been hearing the matter over the past month, urged the lawyers to check on the progress of the case from the registrar of the court. It's not clear at this stage who filed the petition and what it's seeking to achieve. The case at this stage remains adjourned indefinitely. We stay with the Auditor General, and a performance audit report from his office on the administration of scholarships by Get Fund has revealed lists of members of parliament and other influential people benefiting from the fund. Names like that of the Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, Procurement Minister and Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament, Sarah Adwo-Safo, as well as the Executive Secretary for the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, Dr. Prince Hamidu Ama, who have all benefited from the scheme. We'll get to their reactions shortly, but just so you know, Dr. Opoku-Prempeh, while an MP, is listed as studying national and international security at Harvard University, receiving $12,800 for living expenses and $11,200 as tuition fees. Sarah Adwo-Safo is also listed as studying at the Harvard Kennedy School, enjoying $12,800 in allowances with $17,004 in tuition fees. Dr. Ama is studying philosophy and education at the University of Aberdeen, which comes with a benefit of £38,400 for living expenses, in addition to £33,000 for tuition fees. Let's hear Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh's reaction.
Me free in Fisher, in Pimienu, and need to swap, and I do don't call for the minister.
From 2016 that I was made a minister, I have not had the opportunity of having a 2-week leave, let alone the opportunity to pursue a master's or a PhD.
Now, I said no crib any. Me better buy a name of another name of Ministry of Education.
There's no iota of truth in this matter. As a minister with oversight responsibility of a Get Fund, I have not taken money from the fund. It is absolutely false.
Me Benjuma, me coaches, I did be a free Get Fund in mind. Now the crew they say, if you pay me new edit to na yinia bemu a walk pal.
The truth of the matter is, in 2014, we had an invitation from Harvard University to pursue a course, and Get Fund sponsored it.
Parliament, Get Fund the sponsor in Yemen Kwa. Na so the mekano, Usha dia, Usha numbers secret dia bear ye.
But I was not the only one who went for the course. I would not mention any names. Not all of us got the money from Get Fund.
So 2014, we all Harvard to the suffering, same in peace academics, and then our tremendous and Get Fund sponsor.
Others got it from the National Health Insurance. It was a number of us, and we all accessed funds from various sources. Somebody just wrote the 12,000, but it's bizarre for anybody to think that Get Fund could release to me a $12,000 amount for a 3-week course.
Our Executive Secretary of NACA put his response on Facebook. Now, we will put that on the screens later in the bulletin or in later bulletins, just live on JoyNews today. My name is Daniel Dazi. The latest, as we have from this story, is that there have been 3 responses to this story. One from the Education Ministry, signed by the Director of Communications, echoing what Dr. Matthew Poku-Pempe just said. Also, from the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Kennedy Osenyako, who is also named in the list as having been a beneficiary of funds from Get Fund to pursue further studies abroad. There's also been a response from Dr. Prince Ahmad. This is the channels to stay on for all the latest on this very story and more. We'll be back with more. Live on JoyNews today. Now, on a sad note, the wife of one of the 3 Kolebu Teaching Hospital urologists who died in a 2005 accident says she is forced to relive the trauma of losing her husband anytime she hears news of a crash. Speaking to JoyNews in our series of accidents that shook the nation as part of our Arrive Alive campaign to stop the deaths on Ghana's roads, Dr. Cecilia Benti questioned why some drivers who cause avoidable crashes are left off the hook. There's more in this report by Max Olagbagba.
But I try that at each anniversary, if only I have to write to, I have to send something in papers in remembrance of my husband.
Wife of one of the doctors, Dr. Cecilia Benchi, shows me articles she authored about the ghastly accident that claimed her husband's life. In August 2005, Dr. Isaac Benchi was returning from a monthly outreach program in the Bronx-Ahafo region, but he never reached home. He died with his senior, Professor John Korte, and 34-year-old Dr. Benjamin Osewiafe. Dr. Cecilia Benchi has been narrating to me how she had news of the death of her husband.
So the car came to pick him, and something funny happened. After I had gone in and was closing the gate because of the dogs, I didn't want the dogs to come out. Then he came back, knocked, and then said, Mokomaba, again. But he had already said he was going, so I also answered, and he went.
She says it has been difficult to cope years after the death of her husband.
Yeah. Of course, what I planned to do, most of the things I planned to do, I couldn't do because I don't have any other support. Okay.
Dr. Cecilia Benchi says her heart bleeds anytime she hears news of an accident. She wonders why some drivers who are to blame for the crashes which are preventable are not prosecuted.
And then to the drivers, my heart bleeds all the time. Each time you hear a crash, my heart bleeds. And I think it's the same for many, many others who have lost loved ones. The carnage on our roads, they are man-made, I would call, disaster. Okay. We have to, they are preventable. People are in prison for little things. Okay. But people are killing others on the road. I am wondering what happens to them, the drivers and so on who do that. I'm begging because it's hurting so many people.
I am now at the residence of Ian Korte.
His father, Professor John Korte, died in the same accident on the Bonsu-Apidja section of the Accra-Kumasi highway. He narrates to me what led to the accident. He says it is a shame majority of Ghana's major highways are not divided or dual carriageways.
So I think I got the report more from a statement that the driver had given. And he said that they were traveling back to Accra, and he saw an oncoming car which was trying to overtake, the traffic on the other side of the road.
Now, 2 years after she died in a horrible accident on the Sunyani-Kumasi highway, nothing seems to have changed as deep gullies and potholes riddle the road at the accident spot. Priscilla Opoku-Kwateng, popularly known as Ebony Rains, together with her 2 friends, perished in the crash. The accident was largely blamed on attempts by the driver to swerve deep potholes and a heap of sand on the shoulders of the road, but sadly collided with an oncoming bus. As part of JoyNews' Arrive Alive campaign, Nana Sensumensa returned to the tragedy scene, where he engaged road users on what they make of the numerous potholes on the stretch.
I'm not that Kumasequanum. Oh, no, I'm the so good. I Sunya Quanum say, Hanty Bass and free.
The potholes and the heap of sand on the shoulders of the road caused Ebony's accident. Ebony's driver swerved the heap of sand and veered into the opposite lane, but sadly ran into the VIP bus. When I got to the scene, Ebony's driver told me Ebony was in the mangled vehicle. So we called fire service. Ebony and her 2 friends died at the spot. At about 3:30 a.m., the fire personnel successfully removed the bodies from the mangled vehicle, and they were sent to Mankranso morgue.
Kwajo Ntim is resident of Nyamebechere, a town on whose outskirts Ebony and her colleagues died on a fateful Friday, 9 February 2018. He claims to have been the first person to arrive at the scene moment after the accident had occurred. Kwajo says accidents are still rampant at the spot. The latest just last week when a Kia truck veered off into the bush as the driver tried to avoid a pothole.
And the Hobate Hon accident says, Ben 1 week in Nikura, Kabi the Beshim Pampruna, or Honam, the same Ebony Ho, Amana Ebony Hona.
Nothing has changed after Ebony's death. Just last week, a Kia truck veered into the bush. I was the same person who came to rescue them. I believe the potholes must be patched, and if possible, some rituals must be done to pacify the gods to end the rampant accident at this spot.
What do you suggest should be done to correct this road carnage on our roads?
I know they can mess and car and inform me. Omunsisi hona se amamre bi wo ho ompese ombeye maya ombe an accident says sisi wo sa.
So we are here at Nyamebechere on the Kumasi-Sunyani highway. This is the exact spot where the late songstress Ebony Rains, together with her 2 friends, died in a fatal accident. 2 years down the line, we are here to find out from road users, especially drivers, what actually comes to mind when they get to this particular spot, and also to assess the road and see what has really changed.
The heap of sand to which the Ebony accident was attributed to has since been cleared, but the potholes, some of which pass for gullies, are visible. Some drivers we spoke with believe expanding the road into dual carriage is the only solution to the numerous accidents and deaths on that particular stretch.
Okay, the minimum say, yeah, kind of say, nearby by and so we be a Ebony accident in the sea, you know. By where dangers of and you say here and penny for
the highways authorities must continuously fix the potholes and also convert all the major highways into dual carriages to ensure free flow of traffic.
Send the accident to be brave. Ever happened yesterday and penny for say, or Mehane, a feeder road for so Mehaquano, no one yamai, Nahanya Bia, and what the
Nana Asansumensa reporting.
Away from roads, be impartial and uncompromising in the implementation of the Vigilism Law in the 2020 elections. Those are the words of President Akufo-Addo to the security agencies. For him, only strict adherence to the law can guarantee order and peace before and after the polls. The president has been interacting with the Ghanaian community in Oslo, Norway, as part of the tour of some European countries. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe is traveling with the president and reports.
In July 2019, Parliament passed into law the Vigilantism and Related Offences Bill to disband political party vigilante groups and forbid acts of vigilantism in the country, following the continuous violence that has characterized the country's by-elections. The law prescribes punishment, including imprisonment between 5 and 15 years. Ahead of the 2020 elections, concerns have been raised about the commitment of political actors to abide by the dictates of the law. President Akufo-Addo, who has filed his nomination to contest the December 7 elections on the ticket of the NPP, wants the security agencies to be fearless in dealing with politically motivated violence. The meeting with the Ghanaian community offered the president the opportunity to brief them on events at home, despite concerns raised by the NDC and other political parties about the Electoral Commission's resolve to compile a new voters register. President Akufo-Addo wants the public to participate fully in the exercise.
We're getting ourselves ready for December the 7th. The Electoral Commission is going to compile a new register. It's the third time. It appears that there's now an 8-year cycle for the Electoral Commission to compile a register. It compiled a register in 2012. It compiled a register in 2000 and choose the government that we want. I don't want anybody to sit and sit somewhere and say, oh, I had nothing to do with what is going on in Ghana. We all have everything to do with what is happening in Ghana. We exercise it by our thumb and by the vote that we do. That's our involvement in our democracy. And that's what we should fight. So everything is going to be done to make sure that the reputation that we have as the beacon of democracy on the continent, as a country that is charting the path of democratic engagement on the African continent, that reputation is strengthened and heightened and enhanced in December this year. But before I take my seat, I just want to say for the third time that I'm very expectant and hopeful and prayerful that the demand that I've made of our people, that they should renew my mandate one more time. 4 more times.
On the banking sector crisis, the president is optimistic his handling of the issue should encourage Ghanaians to give him another mandate.
At the time we came into office, poorly capitalized, with extremely poor governance practices, and really not fit for purpose in terms of having a banking system that was capable of financing the economic and industrial development of our country. We had to undertake some very painful reforms. The Bank of Ghana did it, but with the full backing of government. Today, we have a banking system that is much more fit for purpose than we've had in a very, very long time. Well capitalized, very liquid, very solvent, and capable now of being able to find money for the private sector to grow the economy of our country. As a result, the Bank of Ghana, the Central Bank of Ghana, was adjudicated the best performing central bank in Africa this year by the Association of Bankers of the World. It is all these are the signs that there are a framework that we need to be able to move this country ahead rapidly are now solidly in place. That's the basis on which I'm going to the electorate to ask for 4 more for now.
Now, the controversy surrounding Ghana's decision to buy a property to serve as a chancery building and residence for the Ghana Embassy in Oslo, Norway, has been put to rest. About an hour ago, the Foreign Affairs Minister commissioned a rented property to serve as embassy in Oslo. The minority in 2018 claimed government had planned to spend a whopping $12 million to buy a building in Norway, originally priced at $3.5 million. Governments denied the allegation, insisting it had reversed an earlier decision to buy. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe reports the country has, however, purchased a property to serve as a residence for the ambassador.
Controversy surrounding Ghana's decision to buy a councillor building as well as a chancery to serve as embassy and ambassador residence for the Ghana embassy here in Norway has been put to rest. Now the building is what Ghana has rented the free floor to serve as Ghana's embassy to serve the people of Norway as well as office space for the ambassador. However, Ghana decided to rather buy a property to serve as residence for the ambassador. The Foreign Affairs Minister, who a few hours ago commissioned the building to serve as Ghana's embassy, has been explaining the reason behind Ghana's decision not to purchase the property, which was a major controversial issue in Parliament, but rather opted to rent this property to serve as Ghana's, embassy to serve Norway.
This is not the property that Ghana wanted to buy. Indeed, as the process is always the case when you want to open an embassy, you send officials there to look at finding suitable property for the chancery as well as the residents. In this case, our officers came, the head of the estate department, what we call the bureau, came to look around. They identified a property for the chancery. So they started talking to the owner of the property, came back to Capital to inform us that they had identified the property. Indeed, this whole controversy is something that I can never understand because we had not even gone through the process of the first step, which is going through the ministry's entity tender committee before you even go to PPA. Of course, there's a process of bringing the relevant agency.
Now, aggrieved customers of Men's Gold are unhappy about what they say is government's failure to capture their plight in last week's State of the Nation address. They say although they did not expect the president to announce payment of their investments in a collapsed gold dealership firm, an update on the matter would have been helpful. The sentiment comes after President Akufo-Addo announced payment of locked-up funds of customers of defunct savings and loans companies will begin on Monday. At a meeting in Kumasi, the aggrieved customers expressed disappointment in government's continued silence on the matter. Nane Aljuma sat through proceedings at the bi-weekly forum to discuss their fate.
I would like to repeat that all depositors of the savings and loans and microfinance institutions, including DKM, which collapsed in 2015, will receive 100% of their deposits too once the validation exercise is concluded.
Behind me are aggrieved customers of gold dealership firm Men's Gold. On a monthly basis, they meet here to think about how they intend to take their locked-up capital from the defunct firm.
Our money! Our money! Our money!
Top on the agenda is their neglect on the list of financial institutions the president spoke about. Under the shady trees at Center for National Culture in Kumasi, members of the group take turns to share opinions on their next line of action. One of the leaders of the group, Ezekiel Ano Akagbo, thinks the president has been unfair to them.
But why should the president turn a blind eye on this? And we are also expecting that the president would even say something about the measures they have put in place to help us retrieve the money. Because we were told that Iyoko have frozen some of the assets of Men's Gold. We weren't expecting him to put us together with those in the savings and loans and microfinance category. But we were expecting him to say something with regards to the current state of Men's Gold issue in Ghana.
Other members pour out their frustrations.
We were expecting him to talk about the Men's Gold money lock-up, but nothing was said about it. So we are appealing to him that we are all citizens of the country. So he should come in to fight for us, to get our money back for us.
We have written to other places, and even the government himself, we have even petitioned him. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't see anything. More than 15 billion. As I say, I am about Obia, sorry, I'm immediately now. One even and another mensa, any abai, Yaya means here, on person, obey, Africa or Sanchi to count. If they are able to retrieve his money, then he can pay all our money to us. Then the government should come into our aid and help us.
A section of them, clad in red and black, will however not speak but look on hopelessly. From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Aljima reporting.
Now, 5-year-old Princess Dede Darko, who hops on one leg, begins the process to acquire an artificial leg today. 2 institutions, one in Nsawam and another in Aguna-Duakwa, are collaborating to design Princess's new right leg free of charge. They will also support her through school as well as assist her mother economically. This follows a Joy News report on the little girl's plight. Emefa Etiama Eli has more.
For 4 years, Princess has been hopping on one leg for all her mobility needs, including going to school. With intervention of the Brother Tarsicius Prosthetics and Orthotics Training College at Nsawam and the Salvation Army Community-Based Rehabilitation Center at Aguna-Duakwa, Princess Dede Darko will, in the next 1 month, get back her right leg in its full length. The 2 institutions visited Princess and her mother days after Joy News reported on the girl's birth defects. Principal of Brother Tarsicius Prosthetics and Orthotics Training College at Nsawam, Henry Labi, gives a brief of the preliminary stage.
The prosthesis or orthoprosthesis she's going to use is going to be part of her. It's just like a shoe. She'll be growing out of it. There's going to be constant repairs. So we are taking the initial cost of it, and it might cost around 6,000 Ghana cedis just for that, and we are giving it to her for free. On Monday, we do the assessment, and then we do the necessary measurement, which can take just a day. And when that is done, we would ask her to come back to the house, and we would do the process there and do all the modification and rectification we need to do, and get all the materials we need to do to prepare it.
Princess will later be detained at the final stage for a couple of weeks to enable her learn to use the new leg. The entire process is expected to last for 1 month. The Salvation Army Community-Based Rehabilitation Center has committed to sponsoring her education and economically supporting her mother. Paul Banfo is the Director of Medical, Social and Community Services.
So it's all about building the capacity of the mother to be able to take care of the daughter. But for now, we are coming in with educational support. We are also coming in to look at the mothers, do some form of assessment, get to know really what she's doing now, what other things can she do to put her in a better position where any other mother will want to be able to cater for herself and her children.
Princess' mother, Regina Darko, was lost for words. Her neighbor, Bawa Muhammad, who alerted Joy News about Princess' challenge, expressed gratitude to the 2 institutions and Joy News for coming to the aid of daughter and mother.
And I want to thank you very much for coming to the aid of this girl. And I know in future she will also remember you. Thank you very much.
Among other donors were Crystal Mining Consult, which donated a check for 5,000 cedis, and 5-year-old Delaidem, who also gave up all his savings of 100 Ghana cedis towards Princess's leg. After securing her new leg, Princess will report for periodic maintenance and reviews. The artificial leg will be changed every 5 years as she grows. Emefa Etiama Eli for Joy News, Nima.
Great news to report on, and thanks to all of the donors who helped Little Princess. You're still live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. Up next is the latest in business. Stay with us.